You're here because you want to improve, and you want to improve fast. It's no surprise that one of the best advice any pro will give you is learn how to play light tanks well. So today, I'm introducing you to the best light tank you can start your journey in, the T-50 Soviet Tier 5 LT. This tank is not a premium tank. In fact, it's a collectible tank that you can buy for around 300 plus thousand credits. So anyone can get this tank. And for those of you worried about accessibility, there's no excuse. As many of you have already experienced for yourself, the game is getting quicker and average game times are around 5 to 6 minutes. You will have an advantage if you have a fast and mobile tank. The T-50 is kind of an OP for a tier 5 tank. I've made a video about this tank 4 years ago titled If You Only Had One Tank. Now if you want to see that video, I'll leave a link for you in the description so you can watch it later. In that video, I'm simulating the experience of this tank for a beginner, lacking the resources for a high-skilled crew and equipment. Today, however, we're setting up for the best build for this tank to maximize its potential. You're probably wondering if this is what it means to be seal clubbing. Well, it depends on how you want to look at it. If it is your goal to be a seal clubber, pad your stats, or whatever, it's up to you. Or if you want to improve as a player and you want to begin this light tank journey by starting at the easiest tier of the game and the lowest starting point of competitive gameplay. One of the basic rules of scouting for light tanks or any other tank for that matter is to try to spot your enemy without taking damage. You can do this in any tank to a certain degree, but with a light tank you can do it a lot easier. Once you've mastered this skill, you can apply this across the board in any of your tanks. If you want more in-depth information about scouting, you can look up more videos on this topic. Concealment is another mechanic of this game that that's often overlooked by less experienced players. This is one of the most important skills you can learn as a light tank or a medium tank player. Light tanks retain your camo 100% of the time. For example, I've maxed out my camo on this tank to about 42% camo rating by using camo paint, camo skills, BIA crew, a food consumable, and as you can see in my equipment, I'm running an exhaust equipment. This means I have 42% camo rating even when I'm on the move. This is why sometimes you see some tanks literally disappear right before your eyes. On medium tanks, the camo is at maximum when it's stationary, but you will lose your concealment bonus as soon as you move the hull of your tank. Concealment is an important mechanic because you can get the drop on your enemies. You have to learn how to, mentally calculate your chances of being spotted and make subsequent decisions based on it. But of course, the main event is the gun. After all, you're playing this game to pew pew, right? You want to blow things up. Passive spotting and active spotting is all well and good, but if you want to win games, you have to blow shit up. This means your main focus in light tanks is actually doing damage. Sure, you can win games if you know how to apply your passive spotting skills on open maps like Prokarovka, but if you're setting up your gameplay to passive spot on majority of the maps, you will find yourself losing more than winning. If you want to improve your gaming experience in World of Tanks, you have to do damage in whatever tank you are driving. Doing damage means your win rate will increase from 50% up to 70%, and you can do this playing solo. You don't need to platoon with anybody to make your win rate go up to 60 plus 70%. Now in the first game you saw me there being hyper aggressive. That's because this was a tier 5 matchmaking game. This was set up for me to be aggressive because I'm top tier, and there were tiers lower than me. There were tier 4s I was fighting against, so very easy for me to be aggressive and dominate the game. So you need to recognize that kind of situations. Now here's a map that some people might complain about. Oh, light tanks are not good for city maps. Light tanks are equally as good in city maps as in open maps. Well, of course, open maps you have a significant advantage, but even in city maps you can make use of your camo rating, your spotting skills. Here you see me crossing the tracks. I'm trying to catch out people who are crossing the tracks, so I'm driving close to where the rails are, where the carriages are, so that I could spot them crossing. This would be useful information for my team. So I didn't catch anyone crossing the rails, so it means it gives me an opportunity, or it gives me a signal that I could be a little bit more aggressive, which is why you see me driving forward here in the field, looking for bushes to hide behind and seeing if I can get some shots. I am the furthest one forward in the field right here. I've got some tank destroyer at the back, the M10, supporting me, so perhaps if I spotted something he could start shooting, and that's how I am making use of any kind of support. Whoops, there is an enemy here. I need to back off. I cannot go forward anymore because there is no hull down position for me to hide from. You see a leopard there shooting me single shot, and he bounced off me, so I know there is a leopard there besides this M10 RBFM that is fighting me. So while I am trying to shoot out this tank, I realized that there is a leopard there, and now I've spotted another M10 RBFM. So good job I didn't go forward there. Now I have to fight this RBFM. That RBFM is dead, and one more leopard. So that is what I know that is right in front of me. I'm in a little bit of a pickle here because that T-34 can theoretically shoot me, and he does, but I managed to bounce off him. I have a little bit of a hull down here, a little bit of hard cover using the terrain, and I'm making use of this low spot on the map so that I can poke up and shoot and duck down. The T-50 is of course a highly agile mobile tank. I can use mobility to dupe this guy and try to finish him off. Now I loaded up this tank with 85 rounds of APCR shells. I am going to fire premium shells 100% of the time, and that's because this tank has terrible standard shells. Standard shells don't work very well in the best of times. Even with the premium shells, I'm not guaranteed to pen everything. This is the price of admission if you want to improve as a light tank player or as any kind of player. Because you are playing in a light tank that has very poor penetrations on standard shells, I am playing this with full premium shells. This is the price of admission. You want to improve, you want to get good at the game, you need to spend some money. So I'm spending some credits to fire premium shells. If I was firing standard shells, I might not be so successful, I might not be doing as much damage, I might not be as aggressive as I could be. Remember, I'm on a journey trying to improve my gameplay, trying to understand light tank mechanics, and to do that I need to be giving myself the best opportunity to be as aggressive as I can, play as well as I can. That way I can learn more, I can experience more, and I can apply it to higher tier gameplay later on, even sooner than if I was taking my time and slowly learning with standard shells. This is the reason why I am playing with premium shells. Yes, it costs more, but it costs to learn, right? You go to university, you go to college, you need to pay tuition fees to learn, to improve, to get better, and this is exactly the same principle here. I am spending more credits to fire premium shells, that is because I want to accelerate my learning process. Again, if seal clubbing is what you want to do, go ahead and do it if that is your goal. What I'm trying to explain to you is my rationale for firing premium shells in this low tier tank. I am not trying to seal club. I am trying to enhance my experience, get myself learning how to play better, how to maximize the light tank gaming potential. You know, if I was shooting standard shells all the time, I might not be so aggressive. And if I wasn't so aggressive, I might not be learning as much. I might not be applying more of the tricks and skills that I need to learn. Now, I totally died to this guy because I actually thought he was facing the other side and not shooting at me. But I completely misplayed that. But still got a pretty good game out of it, 1415 damage. These are the first two games that I'm showing you me playing hyper aggressive. Now in the third replay coming up is the longest replay, and this is going to be what most people are more accustomed to when they are talking about light tanks: the active spotting, the passive spotting. So this is Prokarovka. This is the best map you can get for a light tank, but unfortunately I'm in the bottom tier, which means this is a tier 6 game. I'm in a tier 5 tank. It's going to be difficult for me to penetrate a lot of the tier 6 tanks, and I am going to demonstrate to you how the traditional light tank gameplay, which is try to do some spotting using your concealment, try to do spotting early in the game, and then later in the game try to do damage and you know, try to carry the game or try to pick up as much damage as you possibly can. So I'm in a very forward position here. If you watch my E25 video, this is the exact position I took in the E25 as well. You don't often get to this bush very often, but I can do it in this tank at the moment because there is no wheeled tank. There is no wheeled tank in the enemy team that could possibly drive up to me and proxy spot me and have me obliterated. And also that I'm keeping an eye out on that AMX ELC base, which he is spotted right in the middle of the map, which means this gives me basically green light to do whatever I want on this side, because the enemy light tank T-52 already destroyed because he died in the middle of the map, and the ELC BIS which I've already picked up on the map, already been spotted, and now he's trying to come up to this position. He doesn't know that he's spotted, maybe, I don't know, or maybe he's playing foolishly. He's trying to proxy spot, and he does proxy spot our T-52 here and our KV-1. If he drives up to me and proxy spots me, I need to run away as well, but he drives away and he gets himself killed. Now, just for extra information for you, in this position where I am in this top of the bush, it is quite a common position, but a lot of people know this position, and a lot of the enemies who are experienced, they will blind fire this bush. But because I'm in a small tank, very tiny tank, taking a very small part of the bush, I can probably get away, get away with it. Plus, remember, I have maximum camouflage rating here, 42% camouflage rating on this tank, with the equipment that I have and with the skills, food that I'm running. I am very highly camouflaged, so I'm even brave enough to shoot around the tanks that are around me. Now that the two light tanks have been destroyed, there is no one that can actually really spot me out. However, remember, this is a tier 6 game, so I cannot be hyper aggressive. I could drive up the bush, but it was very dangerous. If I did that and got spotted, I would just immediately disappear. And by the way, sitting up on top of this hill here, in case you do get spotted while you are sitting up here in this bush, never reverse back, never back up or back down. Whatever tank you are in, even if you are in a tank destroyer or a medium tank. If you're sitting up here in this bush and shooting at people and you do get spotted, the wisest thing or the smartest thing to do is actually drive forward and down the hill to escape. So if I did get spotted right here, what I would straight away do is drive forward and go down the hill to make my escape, not try to reverse in any way, because driving in reverse, you are going in a very slow speed. You would be an easy target to those snipers down in the 1-2 line. They would easily obliterate you. You can see me taking shots at all these guys in front of me because I am using not just the bush in front of me, but I am also using the trees. Try to shoot in between. I try to shoot through two bushes. So there's a bush in front of me and then there's a tree in front of me as well. So I will try to use this tree as cover as well. Like I'm shooting this guy, I'm shooting through one bush in front of me and I'm shooting through one bush that is in front of him. So I'm shooting through two bushes, so it's going to make it very difficult for him to actually spot me out. On top of that, remember I still have 42% camo rating. 42% on a light tank means 42% even if you're stationary or on the move. Even when you're moving your hull or your turret, does not matter. If you're in a light tank or a tank destroyer, it's different. Your camo rating is 42% when you are stationary, but as soon as you WASD, your camo rating is going to drop significantly. So for me right now, I am Gucci. This is an easy game for me. The only problem that I have right now is I have a very low caliber gun that only does 75 damage, even though I reload every 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds or whatever, but I only do 75 damage. So it is very difficult for me to take out tier 6 tanks that have a lot more hit points than I do. So here I'm not shooting this guy because I'm not confident that I can shoot him without being spotted. I could have tried, but it would have been a big risk, and if you look at the scores, we are 6 even or 6-7. If I died now, it would be very difficult for my team to recover. Right now we have an advantage because I am the light tank, and it would be, I am in a very important position, but I cannot be taking too much of a risk because those are all tier 6 tanks that are in front of me. If you look at the map, you can see there's an AT2, a PZ4H, an SU100D, a Dicker Max. If I did get spotted, I would disappear from the map immediately. So I need to play this carefully. The STRV2 could have proxied me if he drove close to the road, so I had to be careful. I need to survive right to the end of the game. So what am I doing? I'm driving around. I'm going to use this rock and see if I can shoot that STRV2 and try to finish him off. I spotted not just an STRV2 but also a PZ4H. Looks like that tank has driven forward, and now I'm being shot by a Skoda T25, which is basically at our base, and I've taken 2 shots of damage, and he stopped firing at me, which means I've either disappeared for him because of my high camouflage rating, or he is reloading, or a combination of both. So I don't think he can see me right now. I have enough camo rating. Now I'm going to shoot through some bushes and eliminate this KV1. Look at me, just keep shooting at him every 2 seconds, but it still takes me a lot of time to finish him off. And even if I'm firing 100% premium shells, I am not penetrating a tier 6 heavy tank all the time, 100% of the time. So it is kind of a challenging tank, but like I said, the T50 is a great starting point tank, a great tank for you to start your light tank journey in. Lessons that you learn from the T50 you can apply later on in all your tiers, in all your tanks. When you are done with this tank, when you have accomplished a high win rate with this tank. You are able to do 1000, let's say example, average damage in your T50, and you can accomplish 60-70% win rate in this tank. It's time for you to move on to a different tank, maybe a tier 6 allied tank, maybe a tier 7 allied tank, but this is a great tank that you can use as a stepping stone for your light tank journey, and all the skills that you learn playing this tank is applicable for when you move up to higher tiers and different classes of tanks, medium tanks, tank destroyers, heavy tanks. You learn how to use your camouflage rating. You learn how to use the map, because you're in a light tank. You need to drive around, use your mobility a lot. You will learn a lot about how to use the terrain, undulations, how to hide behind low ground, how to hide behind bushes. All these lessons that you learn, that you will learn from playing a light tank in tier 5, the T50, you can apply later on in tier 10 games when you are playing a heavy tank. You will learn how to use the terrain, you will learn how to use bushes, you will learn how to use map knowledge, and apply it to higher tier tanks. This is a great tank to start off your light tank, medium tank, your get good journey. If you are serious about improving your gameplay, learning how to get better, this is a great tank to start off with. Now you see me running away from this M44. I could have fought him there. The reason why I'm trying to get away is because if you look at the map, you can see where the Dicker and SU-100 is. They could have turned around, drive a bit closer. That M44 could have spotted me, and while I was doing 75 damage, I had to shoot that M44 3-4 times before I killed him. I could have been dead by that SU-100. So anyway, I ended up driving around the map. I killed that SU-100, but this ended up being a game of me driving around searching for these 3 tanks and running out of time. I still got an ace tanker for it, but it was a draw. I hope you took some tips and learned something useful, and hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.